Good evening and welcome to the March 13th, 2025 meeting of the Abington Township Board of Commissioners. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioners Brodsky, Rothman,
Here.
DePlacido,
Here.
Laney Martin, Brown,
Here.
Weingrad,
Here.
Henry,
Here.
DePome, Youngart,
Here.
Spiegelman,
Here.
Bowl,
Here.
Schreiber,
Here.
Bowman,
Here.
Vice President Veilley,
Here.
President Hecker.
Here. Thank you. May we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. For my announcements this evening, I'm actually going to turn this over to Board Vice President Matt Veilley, who'd like to make a few comments. So Matt, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Hecker. Apologies, I'm not in the room tonight. It's a very poorly planned trip given everything that's transpired in the last month. Colleagues, residents, staff, it's been quite a few weeks here in Abington Township. I want to start by thanking our amazing volunteer fire company, firefighters, and all those who responded from across the region. It takes courage to run into a burning house, a burning building. It takes a different level of bravery, an order of magnitude greater, to run into a 600,000 square foot blazing inferno. If you need a hero, look no further than your volunteer firefighter living next door to you. These men and women are heroic and amazing, and we owe them an incredible debt of gratitude. I've said this multiple times in the last month, and I mean it, and I'll say it again. I've never, ever been prouder to be a resident of Abington Township. We have something to be so proud of here, and I'm so grateful for our good fortune and the good luck, especially to have a fire the size of SPS without a single injury and no fatalities. Is truly amazing. And I can't imagine what we can ever do to fully thank the firefighters for what they did for a full week battling that fire. Our township management was beyond compare. Let's remember, Manager Chris Christman started 6 weeks before the fire, and we did not miss a beat. He had a steady and calm leadership that was an example to the entire team, and is why we were so successful in managing the disaster and the communications thereafter. Ashley McElvain is an absolute rock star. She is our assistant township manager. She's run our communications with Grace Ekalewski. And there's no resident in this township that doesn't understand what's happened, doesn't know how to get help. They've been fully informed because of the excellent and expert communication skills of this team. There are so many people to thank here, and I know I'll miss some, but there's just a few others I need to call out by name. Chief Malloy, taking the rounds of press inquiries and leading our response publicly, and his entire command staff. Tom McEnany and Chris Platts, the dynamic duo, were leading our emergency management. Terry Castorina, Kathleen Prispolowski, and everybody that was in the Emergency Operations Center. We responded, we rose to the occasion, and I am so proud of all of you. Thank you. Thank you so much for your service. To our community, the Glenstadt community, we have a long road to go. I'm confident we're going to come out of this even better. I'm so thankful for my neighbors, their patience, their gratitude, their collaboration, the Greater Glenstadt Civic Association, who we've been working with to make sure that we have a full response, that we know what the residents want, that we can have the good communications that we're having. And last but not least, my fellow commissioners, thank you so much for your support. I don't think anyone would have thought running for these offices that you might have to manage the greatest disaster in county history. but that's what we've done. And I do need to single out, and while I appreciate all your support, Bill Bowl, my partner in crime, the commissioner, my other commissioner from Glenside.
Okay.
It's such a great partnership. Thank you so much. Let's never underestimate the importance of the work we do. This is a great township. Let's keep fighting for it. I'm so excited for our future. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Behe. And I'd ask everybody to join me in a round of applause and gratitude for everyone involved in that effort. We are looking for other opportunities to officially express our gratitude as a board and as a township. We have been in contact with Tom and Chris about that, and please stay tuned. There will be more information about that coming, once we get the details worked out. But to underscore what Matt said, it was impressive to watch the coordination within the township and the township with the other neighboring municipalities. And, I was on site a couple of times with Matt and Bill, and even hearing from our colleagues in other municipalities about how incredibly professional and well put together all of the staff in the township are around not just firefighting and police, but communication and all of that. And it was really, we know this, but to see it put into practice in the way that it was, this was not a rehearsal, this was life or death. And we rose to the challenge as a community, and we need to remember that. So thank you, Matt. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, everyone. And with that, we will turn to public comment on items that are on the agenda this evening. If you're here tonight to speak about the SPS fire or anything else of general township business, we will have an opportunity after the vote, at the conclusion of the voting meeting, to go through that. So this period of public comment is for items that are on the agenda. Okay.
First of all,
Please state your name.
before I start, I don't want you interrupting and saying into the microphone regularly, as you've been doing, that what I am saying is untrue. You're undermining what I am saying on purpose, and the photographs I bring demonstrate that what I am saying is absolutely true. You do not let me use the computer, and you will not allow the projector man to zoom in on them, and that needs to be done, and you're not allowing it. I have said that we have a rat infestation that you are not taking care of.
Can you please tell me what agenda item you're speaking to?
I'm talking about how you interrupt me
No.
and how you've not answered questions
Yeah,
and how
so-
I have said, no, you're not going to do this.
Ms.
We
Kubel,
have rats.
I just said to
Why are
you that this is...
I can't get answers.
Well, it's not going to be here.
Why are you not addressing this? I have a...
Ms. Kubel,
Please stop.
you have an opportunity
You're
to speak...
going through my 3 minutes right now.
I'm not. I'm
Yes.
telling you that you have the opportunity to speak to what is on the agenda at this moment.
No.
You know this because you've been coming to these meetings for the last 2 years. If you have something to say about the agenda, please do
You
so.
have not responded to the same things again and again.
And I'm not
I
gonna
want
do
to
this
talk
here.
about how the minutes are manipulated.
Okay.
Okay? Please stop touching
Hey.
me. Please stop.
Ms.
No.
Kubel, Ms. Kubel,
I want to be able
you
to
are on
talk about
notice.
the agenda
Well, you
and
didn't
how the
start with
minutes
that.
do not- Yes, I did.
No, you didn't. You
I
started
with you're whispering into the computer. You're taking away my right to free speech. No. I have a right to 3 minutes. Now, you took it away from me, and you're trying to harass me
Mr.
on a
Rooney,
regular basis.
please take your seat.
I'm talking about what's in the minutes. Let me talk. No. First of all, I've been talking about rats for 3
Yes,
years. I
solicitor.
email, I do all this.
Minutes are an agenda
I mentioned that
Yeah, I
Mr.
know.
Manfredi is still working in this community, and you don't put it in the minutes even. You said that he retired. There was a big celebration. He's here.
He
with a
retired as
very
township
powerful
manager,
behind-the-scenes
and he was
job that
hired
we're
by the
paying
Economic
for.
Development
You're
Corporation.
interrupting my time.
I am.
want to
Mr.
start
Hecker,
again.
please let the speaker
You
just
have
finish.
no right
Okay.
to interrupt the time.
Please continue.
I'm talking about, no, don't say please continue. Stop abusing me, please. Just stop abusing me. I want the clock to go back. I want the clock to go back.
You should continue with your
No,
comments.
you just took my right to free speech, and I talked about that to begin with.
You have the floor. Please continue.
I do not want to be manhandled when I come here. I get 3 minutes, and I'm being interrupted all the time. I am saying that regularly, and I want it in the minutes. It doesn't go in the minutes. I am being abused here regularly. You don't listen to me, you say you do. You whisper into the microphone that what I say is untrue and I have photographs. You actually whisper
Ms.
when I'm
Cabell, again,
talking into the microphone. This is a big problem. I'm talking about what's not going in the minutes, and you're
Okay.
trying to silence me because you
I'm
do
not.
so much wrong.
I'm not
Yes.
trying to, I'm trying to
You're
focus the
interrupting.
discussion.
I have not gotten a word out without you interrupting in a minute.
Okay, well,
I
please,
want a minute without interrupting.
please continue and conclude your remarks.
I didn't conclude. I didn't begin.
Well,
You're
did-
abusing me.
Ms. Cabell,
You do
please,
not allow my photographs to be seen, and I'm not allowed to use the computer, so I spend a lot of money taking very expensive photographs.
okay?
And I want them to be seen. When I'm holding this up and you're not allowing people to see the blight that is decorating people's
Again,
backyard.
is that on the
this is
agenda this
abusive.
evening?
Yes, it's what you do not allow to go into the minutes and what you do not allow me to say. The minutes are manipulated. You create a false history through the minutes. Mr. Manfredi is here and he's working. That should be listed in the minutes. People should be able to see that in the history of the minutes, that he is now Executive Director of Economic Development.
That was not board action. That was an economic
You're
development
interrupting me.
corporation.
No,
I'm gonna give you the
these are
time.
things that should be in the minutes because I said it.
Okay,
And what
please
I
mo-
say
please
is
move
not
on.
going in the minutes. You are not allowing me to talk.
I
We're
am
at the
allowing you to
point
talk.
Where this is a dictatorship.
No, that's not
This
true.
is a dictatorship. Yes, you don't answer emails. You don't speak to me when you're here for 4 years and then you say you have spoken to me. My God, you put your hand out in my face and tell me you don't want to talk about the horrific blight that we have that's everywhere. This is why we're having fires. People are putting flammable liquids and
All right.
mattresses and tires.
Ms. Kubel, your time
and
has expired.
lawnmowers. You're
Please take your
allowing
seat.
this.
Please take your seat.
What do you think we're going to get? We have crime magnets and things that are
Okay.
flammable in
You're-
backyards.
Yeah.
You
Your
are
time,
not doing your job.
your time has expired, Ms. Cabell. Please take your seat.
No, you
Yes.
just abused me for the whole entire time,
Please take your seat.
and not one of you speak up to say, she should be able to talk about that blight, that's pretty dangerous.
Please take your
She should
seat.
be able to talk about those car accidents.
Take your
She
seat.
should be able to talk about how renters are renting garbage.
Ms. Kubel, please take your seat. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Please come forward.
I don't want to speak. No, I didn't do anything, I want to hear what's going on.
Yeah. All right. Mr. Rennie, we're going to pause for 1 second before your remarks begin. Okay. I don't think the mic's on.
I'm sorry.
We got you.
Start
now.
again?
No, no, I mean, we heard you, but if you want to say
In
it.
a
for-
really short thing, happy Thanks Patrick's Day to everybody. And I just want to reiterate what Mac, I have one thing, but I'm just going to say St. Patrick's Day in Glenside was unbelievable. And for the chief, for Public Works, everybody just did an unbelievable job. And I had no idea what to expect when we went there for our very first event, and they did such a professional job. It was a great time, I think, was had by all. So I just wanted to say that. And then it's item, just for the Finance Committee. There's a lot of people have been asking me, and maybe the new tax collector could give us some idea. SPS has basically disappeared. So that's going to have tax implications for the township and for the school district. There's 500 jobs or whatever else was going on, which I don't even know. And I thought maybe there would be a time, I don't mean think tonight, but we could get some idea of what
Sure.
to look forward to as far as that's
I
concerned.
mean, obviously, we're looking at that, and we'll be happy to share that information.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that is here to speak about items on the agenda? And what about Zoom? Is there anybody on Zoom that is here to speak?
Laura Lehman, you're unmuted.
Commissioner,
Oh,
what's that? Can you hear me? Okay. Is that you or me? You've got the mic on there. Okay.
please try now.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can, although there's a large disturbance outside of the room, which is competing with you, but please go ahead.
Okay. What I want to start with is just that, all of that doesn't have to happen if some accommodation is made behind the scenes and it's not being made. And I would be glad to help the intermediary and see that that went smoothly if you were willing to do that. Okay, because this should not be what our township is like. And she's correct that she should be able to show those pictures through the projector that she pays for and that I pay for and that all of us pay for in Abington. I want to say too that, again, the mic was manipulated. You were speaking, you didn't turn down your microphone before you started clapping, and the clapping was cut out. I've been told repeatedly that the mics are not manipulated that way, and they are. If there's clapping in the room, we're supposed to hear it. The meetings are supposed to be unedited, not editing out whatever you don't want us to hear. And the editing out the clapping happened because you didn't like when we clapped for things so that you knew how the people in the audience felt. On the agenda tonight, the biggest disappointment is that you have item after item that has not been vetted. You're now canceling the committee meeting, the working session, which is the only thing that was left of the committee meetings that used to be 2 nights of committee meetings. And then the issues were brought to the full board with a week in between. And you have taken it down to put 5 meetings in one night. And now you've cut out some meetings, just cut them out, the committee meetings. So it's not appropriate to bring things to the voting session without having them fully vetted first. So, even the traffic signals should be vetted so people who have a chance to see what's on there before the night of the voting and to share it with other people on their street and talk about it. The funds coming from multiple accounts for the mowing, this is part of what has happened over the last few years, is that things are coming from here and there and everywhere. Mowing should be an item on the budget, and things should be coming from the item that was relegated for it. And everything should be in the same place, not some of it here from the fund balance, some of it here from the landscaping, some of it from Parks and Recs generally. There should be a better accounting. And that matters for those of us who are looking at the budget and I'm sorry, I got a frog in my throat and trying, I need a drink of water, and trying to make heads or tails of it. Sorry about that. The Friends of Briarbush, I actually would like an answer now, but I know I won't be given one because that's one of the disrespects that happens to people in this township. I would like an answer as to why that truck is needed and how the township is getting the truck and to explain who's going to own it. Is it going to go to the director or one of the members and be their personal vehicle? Is it going to stay at the township and be used whenever Briarbush needs it? That should have been explained in the item tonight in the documents.
Thank you, Ms. Lehman. If you could please conclude, your time has expired.
Okay, I'll finish it up. So I would like to say that you know what? I don't want to say that right now. I'll save that for the end.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we're going to move to the consent agenda. And before I turn this over to Commissioner Schreiber, I actually want to make a motion to table item C under the consent agenda and bring this back next month after there has been opportunity for further discussion. I'm aware I have questions about one of the measures that is on here, and some of my residents have some concerns, and I would like to work that through before we either vote to approve this or not. And so I would ask if anyone would second that.
Second.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion to table item C and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so item C is going to be tabled until next month, and with that, I will turn this over to Commissioner Schreiber.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda A, B, and D. Items A, B, and D only.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The consent agenda carries. Moving forward, we have no unfinished business this evening, so we will move right into new business, and I will once again turn to Commissioner Schreiber for the agenda.
Thank you. So our first item is BOC 04031325, which is a motion to adopt resolution number 25013, recognizing the month of April 2025 as Pennsylvania's Safe Digging Month, and I so move.
Second, yeah, okay. No, it's fine. No, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any comments or questions from the board? This is really, truly my favorite resolution of the year. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? It is hereby Safe Digging Month in the Township of Abington, starting April 1st.
There we go. Okay. BOC 05031325, motion to award the Abington Township mowing contract zones 1, 2, and 3 for years 2025, 2026, 2027 to M&M Lawn Care East Incorporated in the amount of $187,850 per year, and authorize a fund balance transfer in the amount of $89,516 to be taken out of account 0182000279000000. The remaining, did I get all the O's
You
in
did.
there?
You did.
Okay. The remaining balance of $98,334 will be taken out of the Parks and Recreation budget account 0110450451000000. And I so move.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any comments or questions? Commissioner Spiegelman?
Just briefly, President Hecker, and thank you. I'm going to go into detail, a little more detail about this in my newsletter, but folks, I think probably all over the township, but certainly the Ward 11 neighbors on Wanamaker and Bader Roads who live near the township-owned lots that used to be houses before the flood of '96. They have been very patient and also very keen observers of the mowing situation, and without their well-intentioned and well-received complaints and concerns, this very important change wouldn't be made. So I want to thank everyone. Hope this gets everyone's support, and I want to thank those neighbors on Wanamaker and Bader Roads for their input. Thank you, President Hecker.
Thank you, Commissioner Spiegelman. Are there any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Next item is BOC 06031325, motion to reject the Ardsley Wildlife Sanctuary Phase 2 project bids as opened on March 4th, 2025, and authorize rebidding of the project.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Manager Chrisman, could we just explain what's happening here briefly?
Certainly, Mr. President. As the board's aware, the Ardsley Wildlife Sanctuary Phase 2 project went out for bid probably a couple times now. This is going to probably be the fourth time it's going to go out for rebid. As you recall, the last time the bids went out, the board did reject all bids at that time because of structural deficiencies in the bid packages themselves. Again, the bids came back. The low bidder on the project had a fatal flaw in the submission, and as a result, the solicitor's office has advised that we reject all the bids. So we're asking that the board do this in two parts, reject the bids as part of the motion and then authorize the administration to then re-advertise.
Okay. Thank you. That's helpful. Are there comments or questions for members of the board? Commissioner Bowe, you look like you have a question.
Yeah, are there ways that we should be thinking about restructuring the request for bids that would allow this to be a smoother process the third time, fifth time?
The fourth time.
Fourth time?
So we did work with the solicitor's office to modify the bid this time around. We did receive 3 bidders. The issue is that it's not so much associated with our bid documents, it's that we're receiving back incomplete documentation. So it kind of is beholden upon the contractor to fill out the forms correctly or to submit the documentation required. We're confident in our bid this time around, and we're hopeful that, at minimum, we'll be able to award at least the base bid. We also run into the issue that this bid, as well as the design, has to be approved by DCNR, and there's all of these components to that, and we have to be compliant with DCNR, and they've advised us there is nothing further that we can remove from the project that would make it what it was intended to be. So it is slimmed down to the extent that it is still going to be a valuable project to Abington. So I hope that answers the question, but we are hopeful that the next time around, we had 3 bids on this, so.
Thank you.
And Ashley, what's the timeline at this point? So if we pass this tonight and we authorize the rebidding, how will this play out over the next couple of months?
The objective is to try to get an award to you by next month.
Oh, okay, great.
We are obligated to have this project done by the end of the year, and it is a smaller project, so we are confident that can happen.
Okay, terrific, thank you. Any additional comments or questions for members of the board before we vote? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries.
Next item is BOC 07031325, motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between Abington Township and the Friends of Briar Bush, and I so move.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Commissioner Schreiber, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say if we could have an explanation either from the manager or assistant manager about the truck, the question that was asked.
So, Commissioner, I can state that the truck that's going to be purchased will be purchased by the township but utilized by the Friends of Briar Bush. So that van, they currently have a van in their use over there. It sits in the parking lot. They use it for a variety of different things. That van can no longer be used. It doesn't have safely operating seatbelts, which is the reason why there's a request for the purchase of this van. So it'll become part of the township's fleet, but it will reside there for their use only. The current van that's there will come back to the township. It's my understanding that it cannot be used, so it will go out to bid through Municipid or some auction site so that it would be disposed of with other vehicles of like ilk in the township.
Yes, thank you. Any other comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries.
And item E is BOC 08031325, motion to recommend appointing Peter Kim to the Zoning Hearing Board to fill the term ending 12/31/2027, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any comments or questions from members of the board? I would like to personally thank Vice President Vehy, Commissioner Schreiber, and Commissioner Weingrad, who took the lead in vetting the candidates that have applied for the Zoning Hearing Board. I appreciate the extra effort there. It's important that the Zoning Hearing Board not be down a person, given the agendas that they have been dealing with as of late. So thanks to each of you. If there are no further comments or questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
And that concludes the new business agenda items.
Thanks, Commissioner Schreiber. Appreciate your help tonight. We'll now turn to the Finance Committee, and Finance Committee Chair, Commissioner Stuart Weingrad.
Thank you, President Hecker. The only item we have is item FC 01031325. Motion to approve the January 2025 expenditures in the amount of $3,699,986.30 and salaries and wages in the amount of $2,493,864.17, and authorizing the proper officials to sign and approve invoices and supporting documentation and payment of bills and contracts as they mature through the month of April 2025, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioners Brodsky, Rothman,
Yes.
Placido,
Yes.
Laney Martin, Brown,
Yes.
Weingrab,
Yes.
Henry. Yes. DePone. Yes. Young Gertz,
Yes.
Spiegelman,
Yes.
Bowles,
Yes.
Schreiber,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Vice President Vehy,
Yes.
President Hecker.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
And that concludes the Finance Committee agenda items for this evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Weingrad. Much appreciated. That brings us to the conclusion of the voting portion of the meeting. We will now open it up for public comment on general matters of township business. If you have a question or comment, please come forward, state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Here asking for just basic maintenance, clean streets, not dangerous streets, and this is the behavior? I know that people's lives are at risk here when buildings are falling down, and you want to not do anything. I'm asking this to be looked at closely, and you won't allow people to see it. It has no roof, hasn't had a roof in 8 years. There's so much of this. All whole neighborhoods in Abington are rotted out, and you know it. This is 1771 to 1769. The mattress is here. These are flammable things, and garbage piles up, and people live there. You are allowing people that have less than you to live in horrific situations. This apartment on Old York and Welsh, nobody should be living here, and you didn't even get them to fix the window in a week. This place has, I'm sure it has rats. The whole area on Welsh Road is filled with this. This is, I mean, tires. I've seen tires piled up. 35 tires I can find, in maybe 100. There's so many of them you can't count them. I mean, we do have rats. I have a photograph here. This door on Old York Road was eaten by rats. And you're not doing anything about it. I'm telling you about rats all the time. Miss Gertz Young lives with an open dumpster and hasn't been able to get it shut. My gosh, why would this be standing? It's a crime magnet. It's an eyesore. It could collapse at any time. And this has like 50 or up to 100 tires. Up to 100. All kinds of liquids outside. Some of them might be flammable. You're creating dangerous yards here, and then of course the police have to come and the fire department has to come, because look, this house has a dump site. It's moving sideways, all up and down the streets. Many houses are being purposely rotted. This house is not owned by any kind of owner. My God, a regular family doesn't rot out the entire roof and pile the kitchen sink and everything else in the backyard. These are speculators that you have invited here. Mr. Manfredi spent his entire time here inviting speculators into everyone's neighborhood. Mr. DiPlacido, Topahakan, Osceola, Willow, Cypress, McKinley Fire Department, the Ethel Jordan Park are all surrounded by rotted homes. Mr. Spiegelman, your ward, my gosh, Tyson Road, Roslyn Avenue, Edgecombe, all of them have rotted homes with backyards filled with flammable things. I mean, it's not uncommon to find half a car. It's not uncommon to find lawnmowers that are rusted, all kinds of liquids piling up, yard equipment, pipes, everything's in the backyards. And then you compliment yourself for doing a good job. You haven't done a good job. People who have less than you are living in horrific situations, and you allow it. They put their concerns up on the website. Nothing is done. Code enforcement is not doing their job because you don't allow them to. When I'm talking whole blocks look like this and you're trying to stop me from speaking, something is seriously wrong. You need to handle a rat infestation and you refuse to. The Goodmans have an open dumpster that has like 6 of them. They stay open, and I've spoken to Mr. Goodman, and they stay open.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Your time has expired.
Why are you not addressing this? I've asked you over and over. I send you emails. You do not answer them. You spoke to me once in 2021, and that was it. And besides that, you've been nasty and rude. You don't want me to have an opportunity to speak. You don't thank me for my comments. You're not doing anything.
I just thank you for your comments.
No,
You've spoke for 4 minutes.
Bad situations for everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
No, all right.
Please take your seat.
Get rid of this.
Thank
And
you.
I'm sure he wasn't able to zoom in. I don't want anything cut from that video.
Okay,
You're
Ms.
editing
Cabell,
and taking rights away.
We're done. Thank you. Anyone else present wish to speak? If so, please come forward. Yeah. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Matt Miller. I live on the 1300 block of Arnold Avenue.
Yes.
And I am one of many neighbors that's currently being, harassed by all the different traffic patterns that are now flowing onto our street. I would say probably 90% of the detoured people are going on Arnold Avenue. I know the police have been out there recently, and they've pulled quite a few people over today, but the traffic is ungodly. To the point where I almost got hit several times trying to get into my truck that's parked on the street once in a while. There's kids that live on the street. My neighbor across the street his kid almost got hit coming out of the house going to the school bus. I'd like to know what the township is going to do to help us with this. Some of the suggestions I have are trying to figure out making it a temporary one-way street, and then another block up, make it at the opposite direction. I would like to see maybe some speed bumps installed, because the cars are flying up and down during traffic hours. It's really bad. On the weekends, it's constant throughout the entire day, and summer's not even here yet. And kids play on the street. I would like help in getting this resolved or something done.
Well, thank you. So I'm assuming that there are other neighbors that are here as well. Do you want to, I mean, we can address this after each comment, or we can have you come up and then address it after, whatever you prefer. But no, I want to make sure everybody that wishes to speak has the opportunity to do it.
I have pictures, if you want to see what the traffic is. I don't know how they can be submitted to you guys.
You just leave them here if you'd like. or
Yeah,
leave
and
them
some
with
of them have
Commissioner
already
Schreiber.
been sent to me, and I've sent them to the
If you just
police
leave
and all
them,
that.
we'll
yeah.
take them. We appreciate the concern, and we'll be coordinating through your commissioner and with the township staff on figuring out what can be done, recognizing that this is a county project, and we're also working with them. But we appreciate what you've brought forward, and nobody wants kids to be unsafe.
Commissioner Schreiber has already said something out. You got to be patient. Well, it's getting to the point where you can only be so patient.
I understand. We're not trying to trivialize the concern. We understand what you're saying.
There's a school bus.
Can you come forward? It's just that way folks that are watching and listening can hear this. And if you just state your name, thank you.
Samantha Miller.
Good evening.
Good evening. There is a school bus stop at Patane in Arnold, which is the biggest concern because you have approximately 12 to 15 elementary school-aged kids walking to school bus, and they're nearly getting hit almost every day. There's another school bus at Fernwood and Woodland. These cars are doing donuts at the intersections of Patane and Arnold and Woodland and Arnold. They're drifting. We've had 2 accidents in the last 2 weeks there. My husband explained that we had a neighbor's child come out trying to back into our own driveways. We're getting flipped off, yelled at, called nasty names. Like, we can't even abide by the own traffic laws. We put the turn signals on. We explain that we're doing this. They're screaming at us, telling us to get the hell out of the way, bitch. Come on, this is a little bit of inconvenience for them, but it's more inconvenient for us.
Sure. Yeah.
So safety has been my biggest priority. We've had a JB Hunt truck come through and take out our Verizon and internet. We've had another 18-wheeler come through and take out our cable. We've had car trucks from the dealerships where you actually have the big 18-wheelers with cars loaded. Then there's another pickup truck with a car carrier behind him going through. SEPTA buses, the large accordions are going through. The short SEPTA buses are coming through. Like, all of this, in this kind of road, it's not gonna last.
Yeah.
So, and that's our biggest concern is, like, we want our kids to be safe.
Yes, for sure. No, we appreciate you taking the time to come out tonight and voice your concerns. We understand. And we will coordinate through Commissioner Schreiber, for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, sir, please come forward.
Yeah, my name's Bob Dudley. I live on Woodland Road.
Good evening.
Caddy Corner, good evening. Caddy Corner to Arnold. I've been in Roslyn since I've been 5 years old, so I know what's going on. The biggest question I have is why is the bridge taking 8 months to work on? I mean, it's a small bridge. I talked to the guy that was the foreman up there today, and he told me it's only a small section they're taking on the sidewalk side, upright specialty floors, and it seems like that an 8-month project to do a small bridge is unbelievable. I was up there today. I didn't see any activity at all on the bridge. So I don't know if this is part of their operandi, modus operandi or what. But I just don't understand. The other issue is why the detour signs are being ignored. They have it up at Old Welsh, they have it at Hamilton, they have it at Edge Hill, they have it at Susquehanna. But apparently, they use their GPS, and they just go around it, and they just come right out.
I think that's what's
And
happening.
no one seems to be able to stop the flow. And most of the people are traveling north or south on Easton Road. They're not local community people.
Right.
So it's becoming a real problem. We have traffic impactation, and it's really becoming an issue and concern for safety and everything. But the biggest issue is why is it taking 8 months to do a bridge?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question, but we will look into that and get an answer. All I can say is these kinds of capital projects often take longer than we would like them to, and I have been involved in other bridge projects that clearly, I mean, I can appreciate what you're saying.
That's it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for coming out. If anyone else wishes to come forward, please do. And then I'll turn to you. Okay.
I'm Dolores Johnson. I live at Woodland and Arnold.
Good evening.
Besides everything they have said, the speed in cars. I've lived there 6 years, and the speed is ridiculous. I've been told that the only place that you can ticket anybody is up by Brookdale. The white lines, they can time them, but they're not allowed to use radar, so there's no other way to get these guys. Since this is going on, people's tempers are going up, and they're going even a little quicker. I was almost hit by a car. I was this close to the woman's face. And she just looked at me, and I'm like, the speed limit's 25. And she just ignored me, of course. But they're not stopping at the end of Arnold. They're just pulling out, and cars are coming straight down. You have them pulling out because they're aggravated, so what do? They're revving their engines. I've had stuff on my shelves rattle. It's just, we can't do this till November.
Understood.
Can't do it. There's too many little kids that live in the neighborhood that you're not going to keep them, in their backyard all that time. But, something's got to be done because they are bumper to bumper from Woodland out to Pershing. I don't know how many cars that holds, like a dozen at least. Stop sign, yeah. We had a funeral that had to go through. Well, somebody almost hit them because they had the right of way on Woodland. So, I mean, we appreciate everything you guys are doing, but I guess my thing is, yes, it's a county issue. You guys have to go to the county for us.
Yeah.
We can't.
We hear you.
I've called everybody.
No, I only said that to make it clear that we're not the leads on the project. And
Right.
so we have to work through the agencies that are in charge of this particular work, but that's not because we'll talk to them for
Yeah,
sure.
I know the female officer did talk to the Wawa tractor trailers because they come down. And
Yeah.
she told him he can't make a right onto Arnold.
Okay.
What do now? They go up to High Street, take a right, and then come down Pershing. It's not fixing the problem.
No, it's just pushing it to another
Bob and I
location.
share a driveway. I don't think he would mind if one of the officers wanted to sit in our driveway and just watch them.
Okay.
Yeah, where they
But-
today was pointless.
Yeah, but
It is a county project, but it is.
Could I ask you to, just, you can come forward and continue, but I just,
It is a county project, but it's a township road that they're traveling on.
no, we understand, and we agree. Yeah, no, thank you for pointing that out. We hear you. Are there other residents that are here to speak to
Just-
that issue?
Is he here from Arnold?
I'm going to let it, he didn't finish his time, so if you have, I'm going to let this.
My question is SEPTA and Wawa with their tractor trailers allowed to go up those streets? Because they've been coming down the street and going up Arnold. And a couple times, they could not get up to Pershing to make the turn because the traffic coming in off of Easton was so bad. But a tractor trailer, I've seen a tanker truck come down the street. And I thought there was a prohibition about SEPTA traveling down that road.
So I'm going to turn it to my colleagues, both Commissioner Schreiber and then we have Officer Coughlin here, who's our traffic safety officer. And so, Lori, I'll start with you.
So, first of all, I I understand that this is a nightmare, and I have gotten a number of emails from a lot of people. I've put it in a few of my newsletters. If you don't receive my newsletter, please make sure you sign up for it. So that I've already put out 2, and I have another one coming out tomorrow. The police did have a meeting about this, and we'll hear about that. In answer to, we were surprised, as you were. We saw the same signs you did. You know, we didn't know about the project, that it was coming up when it did. So yes, the county has some explaining to do. The SEPTA was not told by the county, so that's why the buses were going through. They have since been told. So have you seen a bus recently?
As of 4 o'clock, we had 2 buses go
Okay,
through.
so can we look into that, please? Because I was told that had stopped. Thank you for the video. I've been getting a lot of videos. I turn them over. So what we're going to have the police come up next and talk about some of the ideas that they have. Every time I get a suggestion, I do send it on. What we'd like to do, though, is evaluate these suggestions that we put in when we talk, which they're going to tell you about in just a minute, and then have a meeting for the people in the area in maybe 2 weeks after the suggestions are put into place to, kind of evaluate, because nothing works immediately. We have to see how it's working. So do you want to come up and address some of the things, and then we can go back and forth? I might jump back in, but...
Yes. For those of you who don't know, my name is Mike Coughlin. I'm with the Traffic Safety Unit with the Police Department here, and I'd just like to echo Commissioner Schreiber's comments that we were kind of taken off guard by this project.
Can you speak into the mic?
We were kind of taken off guard by the project as well, and we hear you, and we see you. We're out there, we see the traffic, and we feel for you. You're getting all of it, and you go 1 block over and there's nothing going on, so. Oh, all right. Now I'm really presenting, all right. So how we started, what can we do now? We're stuck in the situation for now. What can we do? As far as SEPTA, yes, they were not told originally, and we got a delayed response. We were under the impression that it was taken care of, but obviously that is not the case. So we will reach out to them again and make sure that this is getting through to them. In regards to trucks, there is no truck restriction on the road. I know you were asking about trucks going down there. There is no truck restriction. It is beyond me why a truck driver would choose to go down the road, but technically there is no restriction from them doing so. What we did do in regards to trucks was we added 2 of our message boards. I don't know if anyone saw them. We added a county one, which is giant orange, catches your attention at Easton and Susquehanna today, with a very clear message that the road is closed at Woodland Road, no trucks, and we did see a increase in the amount of trucks following the detour at that intersection. Not all of them, but we did see an increase. We noticed more trucks going up to Edge Hill Road. We also put a message board up by the Burger King, trying to get their attention before they even get down that far that, hey, listen, all traffic should be detouring. Obviously, they are ignoring the detour signage, but we're trying to get, we're trying to get the message to the truck drivers. Say, look, guys, if you're going up to Willow Grove, you got to turn off. You're not going to make it through. And then the county's going to bring down another message board to put up at Old Welsh to try to stop them from coming down from that direction. So in the meantime, what the police department's going to do, I'm sure you've noticed that we put a portable speed sign out on Arnold Avenue for southbound traffic, correct? So we have that out there. The light at Easton and Woodland, we had signal maintenance come out. They changed the timing to try to push the Woodland Road traffic out more. We also covered up the no turn on red sign so that obviously there's nothing coming from that side, or there shouldn't be, so they're allowed to make that right turn on red. We're seeing some people do it, some people not, because they're not comfortable with it. Yeah, and they're used to it. They're used to it not being a turn on red, so they're, yeah. Well, there's also, I was sitting behind a car and he wasn't sure what to do. So, so like I said, we're adding some signage. We put in a parking restriction at Pershing and Arnold, and the theory was that to back them off the corner so that 2 cars could be at the intersection there and not be facing one against another. And then mainly our immediate approach was we are actually doing an overtime detail. You're going to start seeing officers detailed out there between 2 and 6 p.m. just to be there, be visible, cut down on the road rage issues. A lot of the problem we're facing is volume. They're not necessarily speeding. I believe it was you that talked about what we can and can't do as far as speed enforcement. Most of them aren't getting up to that threshold. Obviously, we would address it if they were, because that'd be pretty crazy. Yeah, yeah. When there's not traffic, it's hard when there's so much volume down there. It's hard to get going. But we're doing the overtime detail mainly to show the presence, show we're there, sit at the stop signs, do speed enforcement, whatever we can do. Today we put a car down there at the intersection to try to show that we're out there. And then in the morning times, our patrol officers are going to sit there when they're getting their shift started. Ideally, they'll be there for an hour, but if something happens, they do have to peel away and go to the call. That was me. Yeah. Thank you, Chief, for the motorcycle. Yeah, 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 and you'll be seeing that more because people don't pick up on the motorcycle as much, so it's a good tool. The 2 to 6, I'll have to check the schedule. Yeah, we can look at the weekend. Again, I would have to check the schedule. I don't want to speak incorrectly, but obviously the problem is not contained to weekdays. It's not contained to daytime, nighttime. It's, again, I forget who said it, the GPS system that we live in now. I was up in Glenside, and I typed in, how do I get to the Honda dealership? And it sent me right down Eastern Road to Woodland, make a left, right on Arnold, and I'm back on my route. So I imagine that's what 90% of these cars are. Yeah. So in response to the SBS fire, I worked with Commissioner Vahey on that. We did reach out to Google, which also cover Waze and Apple Maps. They will put in the detour, the closure, but they will not go as far as put in the detour route. And I guess their reasoning is that if they put in a detour route, that their system wouldn't be able to figure out how to get you to the 1300 block of Arnold Avenue if it's blocked off for whatever reason. So I'll have to look into it. But the thing about those systems is they're tracking you when you're using them. So if you put a road closure in and then someone else is using Waze behind you and they go down to Arnold, the system kicks off and says, well, I guess it's not closed anymore. So it's kind of an ongoing battle. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Sure.
So I think the problem's kind of there. It's just slowing the traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Cops in there, is there been any thought of putting it closer to like the mall or closer to Roslyn train station? Try to delay people from getting through, specifically trucks, but maybe just be like local traffic only, people slow down and see the sign.
Are you saying moving the closure signs?
Correct.
Okay.
Because I know you guys have jurisdiction over that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
the problem is when you're going from the mall to my house,
Mm-hmm.
the street signs, you can't even see them. So there's one tiny one and then there's another small one where it merges into one.
Where are you talking about, just so I can make a note of it? Old Welsh. Okay. All right.
So my thought process, which maybe you guys thought about it, was to put a presence there.
Okay.
To get people not to go past there. For
Okay.
example, speeders, they're not going to want to go somewhere where they know cops are stationed, but when they're there, it's already too late.
Yeah.
People there.
Yeah.
It's back to the traffic, all the way back so we can't get out of the driveway.
Yeah. We've been working closely with county, and we have had them move quite a bit of signage. The first day, it was like, this is not adequate to handle the amount of volume coming down that way. And that's something that's going to continue. So I have that written down. Let me take a look at it and see if we can change anything up there or change our approach.
Another possible question I wanted to know is, do we go or do the township or police go to the different car dealerships that are on that section
Mm-hmm.
and give them some kind of notice to say, hey, your car carriers, this road is closed, you need to please follow the detour.
Yeah.
And it's the full-size carriers and the little trucks that carry the two-car haulers.
Yeah. We certainly can. There's not much of a enforcement action we could take along with that, but yeah. And actually, the other day, I was right behind one of those big articulated car carriers, and he messed up traffic for what seemed like forever just trying to get through. So we can certainly talk to him. The problem that probably we'll run into with that is a lot of those truck drivers are independent, yeah, and they're going to do whatever they. Most truck drivers have the 2 GPS systems going, and they follow whichever one gets them there quicker. But like I said, with the new message boards, we did see an increase. We're hoping that will continue in that trend. You know, we're doing our best with the trucks. The trucks are the big concern right now. It's cutting down on them because that's crazy. So if you call it, yeah. So I would say, for now, contact us at Traffic Safety. If you go on our website, I believe it's 536-1078. That'll get you through to one of the 3 traffic officers. You know, trust me when I say that we are very aware of what's going on down there, and we've been down there since this started last Monday, correct? We've been down there for about 15 hours of physical police officers sitting there already, and obviously with the detail and such, that's going to continue. And if you see an officer sitting there, please feel free to approach them. That's part of the detail, is to say, look, you know, to talk to the residents, you know, hear what you guys are looking for, your suggestions, and then we can look into them further after that point. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I have that written down. We'll look into it. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right on the corner, it's one of those pictures, the group home is.
Okay. Okay.
Those girls park right on the corner, where they should not park, because it is right on.
On Arnold. Right, okay.
We're gonna, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. The group home on Woodland Road, the girls park on Arnold, but they park right on the bend. So there's no way a car can get around it if a car's coming out. So that was one little thing. The other thing is, I did notice tonight coming home on Easton that the one sign was put out into the road more. Because before they were on the sidewalk and nobody was looking. So that was an improvement I did notice right away. The other thing was, I don't know who told me, somebody from Arnold, that the pastor from Salem Baptist did ask his parishioners to be nice to the cars backing out of the street on Sundays. Because that's a disaster, just normal days, but they're trying to help us out.
Okay.
In regards to the no parking, so at the corner of Arnold.
Yeah, it's one of those great pictures on the table.
So we can look into that.
Okay.
Posting a sign there if it's not there. Like this car here?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, and the red one. The back one, yeah.
All right. Yeah, we'll look into that tomorrow. I'll get right on it. Okay?
I just don't want to also force them down, so they're parking down further, because it's going to bottleneck no matter where you park on Arnold.
Yeah.
That's the main problem, is that it's really congested right in front of my driveway. There's like a trailer there. It gets really congested right at my driveway because there's a trailer there, and then they're going around. Someone who lives on Woodland parks there, and so they're like, everyone's bottlenecking right there. So that's what's, yeah. So
We're going to end this part of the meeting. I'm sorry, but
yeah, no one wants to see my face.
really good dialogue, but we are going to have a community meeting on it. So I just wanted to add, when we have that community meeting, like I said, in probably about 2 weeks, and I am going to ask the pastor from Salem if we can use Living Word possibly for that, because they own that property too, because that'll be right in the community. So we'll see if we can have it there. But I will ask for representatives from the county to be there. In answer to the question about why is this going all the way to November, I'm not sure I have a clear answer, but it is bigger than it looks. So underground, if you looked at my one newsletter that had the big giant pipes under there, they have to take not only the street up and that what they call a bridge, I know, but it looks like a street. They have to take that up, they have to remove all of those, put in new ones, and do some kind of like digging around them, and there's other things they have to do underground. So I think that's part of the answer, but let's hear from the county. Like, I'm not an expert in this, so let's hear from the county about that more. So I don't want to ignore that part. They're the experts in that. And maybe we'll have more answers, as well as our police will be there, so.
Yeah. So for those of you who came out tonight to speak to this, I want to thank you for taking the time to come out and share your concerns. I think it's clear that your commissioner and the police department understand the impact that you're experiencing and are going to work with you to problem solve to come up with some solutions to get us through this period until the work is done. But please stay in contact. You're always welcome to come back here, but hopefully we can get this resolved for you shortly so that that's not necessary. But it's clearly an option, and we appreciate you coming out tonight to share those concerns.
If you do have any other suggestions or questions or pictures that you want to send on, please email them to me. I get them to, we have like an email group of like 11 people on it now that we're sending it to. So we are evaluating all of these different suggestions. We're not ignoring you. We're just trying to put them in what we can legally do and try different things. So we're there with you on that. Okay, so please send them to me.
Okay. Do you want to speak?
It was just a comment pertaining to the detour. So what's supposed to be the detour, about half of it is in Ward 11, which I represent, including where my house is on Edge Hill Road. It sounds like there's some SEPTA inconsistency. I do see a bunch of 22 buses that have been coming by my house, but clearly some of them are still going on Arnold. Obviously, that is not appropriate. We have seen somewhat of an increase in trucks, but obviously a whole lot of trucks are ignoring that detour. But I'm certainly going to be supportive of Commissioner Schreiber and the police and work to make sure that once people finally learn the detour, that things are okay in our section of Ward 11 as well. So we're all protected. But anyway, thank you for the time.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming out. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak tonight? Mr. Rooney, please come forward.
I just thought that was outstanding. This is just a community meeting, and I just think it was really great to have a little bit of back and forth and let the police talk when we weren't guided by the clock, because that really needed to be heard. I learned a lot just from living in Ardsley, and I've run into that bridge also. And so thank you very much for doing that. That was really great. I'd like to follow up just with the officer here and the chief here. Everything Matt Vahey said is true, and his emphasis on courage is really important too, because all too often we see too little of it. And what the firemen did, first responders did, the police did, it happened, and we can highlight it in the SPS fire, but they're doing it every day. 2 o'clock in the morning, you hear the sirens going off. On that night, I live on Maple, and I heard a helicopter, and as a pilot, I just listen to all this stuff. At 9:30 at night, a helicopter went over really low, and I didn't know what happened until the next morning, and Edge Hill Fire Department was there the whole night. So we've also had our police department at Rosemore last week. Nobody calls anybody up at them, and they go into an unbelievably dangerous situation and handle it, and we got to thank them. So what I ask, and I've asked this before, occasionally we should bring some of these guys in here and thank them in front of the community and some of the firemen. I understand the meetings can't get too long, but it would be really great to see some of the stuff come in here. I know there were 2 officers that saved a little girl's life. I was just reading about it. I don't know exact details of that, but some of that would be really great to come in here, because it lets community know that there's a lot of really good stuff going on, and I just think that would be wonderful. A couple of really weird things I'm just going to bring up. Tonight there's a total lunar eclipse, so if anybody's watching it and you're interested, it should be cool, but it's 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the morning. And then the second thing is 2025 is the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II, and there's still some World War II people around. And Memorial Day, we have that awesome war memorial there, and VE Day is May 8th, which is just 2 weeks before that. It would be great if we could put something together there, just a community event for some of the World War II. And Memorial Day isn't Veterans Day, I understand that, but it would still be really great. I'm gonna try and work on that, but I'm just bringing it up right here. And the last thing is just for the community maybe watching or maybe here, Abington School District has a referendum question at May 20th. But that's available to everybody. It's not just Democrats and Republicans coming out in a primary. So if you're an independent, if you're a conservative, if you're no affiliation, this is going to be important for everybody. It's a $285 million bond issue that's going to cost a lot of money, like roughly $1,000 per house for 40 years. And you can go to commonsenseabington.com and get some information on it. You can go to the school district and get some information on it. But I just want to make sure everybody knows it's not just Ds and Rs at the May 20th primary. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room wish to speak? And if not, we'll turn it over to Zoom.
Laura Lehman.
Laura Lehman, Meadowbrook. So in regard to what these people are going through, I don't know if lots of those little signs have been used that show people what their speed is, but right where the speed limit sign is posted for the detour traffic, they should have those particular little standards there that are telling them what their speed is. They work really well to slow people down, although on Highland Avenue, I hear there's some police cars not slowing down. So, but we need more of those. I know when I see one, I slow down, and that is, you don't have to have radar to do that. That's a great way for them to know how fast that car was going. They can't sight on it, but they can actually go and talk to the driver when they see them going through it. So the other thing is, you know, again, we need to hear when people clap. We need to hear the actual meeting. If somebody says something to you, we need to hear that. We need to hear how you respond because we elect you. And if we don't like how you respond and what went back and forth, then it's up to us to ask you to step down and find somebody to replace you. So please stop tampering with our ability to know. Also, the right to knows that are being submitted are not being submitted properly, they're not being answered properly by your particular staff and personnel. They're leaving things out. In one case, there are documents that have already been circulated to other people, so it's hard to imagine that they haven't been scanned, but they were told that they didn't get them and weren't even notified of them because they hadn't been scanned yet. That's nonsense. That's just nonsense. That was, what, 4 months or 5 months? So literally, that's got to stop, that kind of stuff. Old Welsh Road, Mr. Chrisman, I'm still waiting for an answer how we had a document that would have kept it from going to the zoning hearing board that was put into the packet on January 8th for the approval of that item on January 9th. Something's not right there, and I would appreciate if you'd get back to me and we'd talk about it normally, like normal people do, instead of having antagonistic relationships. I think it's important to know. There's no way you should have been approving something on the 9th when something was put in there on the 8th. So also, I want to know who's canceling the working session. Mr. Hecker, is that you, Commissioner Hecker, or is that Mr. Chrisman?
It's a joint decision.
What's that?
It's a joint decision. We review all the agendas every month with the manager and the board leadership.
Okay, so the decision that you're making and not following through with the vacant property, and what that's supposed to do is identify those vacant properties, and they are supposed to be cited first and foremost.
Ms. Lehman, I'm going to ask you to wrap up. You have exceeded your time.
Well, okay, then let me just say, I also want to ask you to thank people, but to thank people before the meeting. If the meeting starts at 7, please have the meeting start at 7. Come at 5:30 or come at 6 and thank people. It's important to thank residents and people who are doing good things. And I want to personally thank the firefighters that ran into those flames and all the people that worked and breathed the air so that people could be safe. So I personally want to thank them.
Okay.
But please don't do your thanking at the expense of people coming to meetings for important business. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I think we have one more.
Ross Abel.
Yeah, Ross.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Ross, we can. Thank you.
Awesome. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ross Abel on Washington Lane with Jenkintown Abington Neighbors and Bike Montgomery County. First off, shout out to our first responders for the massive task of fighting this fire. We appreciate you. And thanks to Chief Malloy, our police, and Manager Chrisman for the discussions on traffic calming. First, I wanted to recommend to our board members and staff an action you can take to see what it's like on the ground for pedestrians and vulnerable road users in our township. Find one of our busy roads that's 35 miles per hour or higher in speed that has a mid-block crosswalk and try to cross as a pedestrian. York Road north of Target, Fairway are a couple examples. It's an incredibly frustrating and dangerous task as it is very hard for drivers to slow down by the time they realize there's a pedestrian trying to cross. Earlier today, I stood waving my hands in the air trying to get any car to slow down to let me and my child cross to her school. I won't list so many statistics tonight, but I want to reiterate that we have a pedestrian or vulnerable road user hit and injured about every 12 to 13 days in Abington. This is something we can do better on. We can take strong action against this. We need to strongly budget for traffic calming, like speed cushions. I know we've been historically kind of afraid to use these sort of devices. Separately, we need a citizen and township-led process, like a traffic calming committee, to fight back against aggressive driving on behalf of our residents. You heard that from a lot of folks tonight, just with the issues going on that side of town. We need an ongoing strategic approach to developing pedestrian and trail infrastructure in our town, perhaps under our Parks and Open Space Committee. We have a lot of plans that we've had done, but we don't have ongoing coordination on how we might expand things like sidewalks and trails and fill in those gaps that have been identified in our plans previously. And last, please pursue a multi-municipal study with our neighboring towns for traffic calming on Old York Road. If you talk to a lot of folks in our neighboring towns, they also have this concern, and it's the mammoth in the room that just has not been tackled. But I think it has a strong chance of getting funding from the county if we went after it. And we know it's needed because it's such a dangerous road. We've had so many people hit as pedestrians as well as just car crashes. One final note, if you're interested in learning more about safer streets and partnering with other local officials and agencies, I highly recommend the Vision Zero conference at Temple University. It's coming up just in a couple weeks on March 28th. It's put on by the Bike Coalition of Greater Philadelphia, and it's a great day to learn, lots of cool sessions, great material, and a lot of folks you can meet out there. So highly recommend. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, thank you, Ross. Appreciate it. Okay, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.